Hello, hello, hello. We are officially live. Let's make sure you can hear me. Yes, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna mute that because I don't want there to be any echoes, but here we are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. You might hear a little bit of noise in the background from time to time. We have a couple people over at the apartment that are also doing classes and talking and things, so you might hear some noise in the background, but please don't mind that. I have a kitty cat next to me who may also make an appearance at some point since she likes to be the center of attention. But I wanted to just talk about what we were here for today, which is to celebrate the launch of Until All the Stars Are Found. You can see the proof copy there in the background, and I've got it here on my Kindle to do a reading in a little bit, but I wanted to see how you all were doing today and get going from there. So I think I'm going to let it get started for a minute, see if anybody else stops by before we get really into it. But I have also dropped in the chat a couple different places where you can pick up the book. If you have not ordered one already, the hardbacks are still currently on pre-order, which I can get into that a little bit more later. But the ebook is out today, and that is currently available pretty much wherever you buy books online. So, yeah. We're just going to post in a few other places, see who's going to stop by, and then we'll get right into the reading. Oh, I might sneeze. So there's there. And I wanted to post okay. That's posted there, and then I want to show it. Okay, so we have posted it in a few more places. So I think we will get started. We've already been here for almost 5 minutes, which is crazy. I want to thank everybody that has already pre-ordered the book on Amazon. It's been ranking really well. It is in the top 503 categories. 300. So it is 237 in young adult war and military fiction, 349 in space opera ebooks, and 797 in young adult space opera, which is really cool. I've never had a book trend that high on the charts for as long as it has, and I am appreciative of your pre-orders for helping to do that. So I can't really see how stats are for other stores, but for Amazon, I know it's doing well, and that's where people tend to get a lot of their books. But I think without further ado, because it's going to take me a little bit, I'm going to jump into the reading. And I'm going to be reading a section from chapter 11. And it's the end of chapter 11. And our main character, Ada, has passed a few different tests and is officially on the intergalactic space station, which is what the super station that we would call the International Space Station, that over time has been developed and grown to be the super station in our Earth's atmosphere. This book does take place about 225 years in the future, so there is obviously some technological differences, but that is where she is, and she is in the process of doing her intake up on the space station. Here on the floor, I have a different vantage point. The ticking hiss of claws sliding across the floor draws my eyes up.
Yeah, disconnected about halfway through day 3 last time.
I slowly take in the creature that looks like a monster out of a film. I am Edon. I need my clearance. His long snout is full of teeth, and arms that lean on the counter end in 3 clawed fingers. The femme at the desk does the same as she did with me, looking up their name and letting them know that there will be wait. Are you serious? I need to get this done, Edon hisses. The femme's pure white eyebrows pinch an annoyed glance. And you don't think everyone behind you also needs to get checked in? You need to wait just like them. Well, they should allow me to go first. I scoff. I've seen people like this in the market. They just assume that because they perceived everyone else to be less and thus had to cater to them. It hardly ever worked in their favor, and when it did, it was because they threw a major fit and nobody wanted to deal with them anymore. They always took it as a win, but I, for one, did not. You have something you'd like to say? The pompous alien asks, spinning around to face me. I look around at those around me. You mean me? Out of the corner of my eye, I see the guy that I bumped into when I came in rub his temple, while everyone else minds their own business. What's his problem? I didn't do anything. Yes, I mean you. What have you got to say that you would like everyone to know? Edon hisses. The officer at the desk snaps. Agent Edon, find a seat or leave. Edon ignores her and stalks up to me, towering over me from where I sit. Well, you want to say anything? I am already small, but I had learned long ago not to let bullies think you were any smaller than them. So I rise to my feet, shoulders back, head high. The same thing all of us are thinking. The same thing our superior already told you. Wait or leave. Really? Edon hisses again, balling his claw-like hands into fists. Edon, stand down. Gomez, back off. The femme orders. I take a step back, acknowledging the order, but I do not turn my back away from the male. I lean against the wall, crossing my arms. Really? You can speak for all the people here, huh? He spits. Bits of his saliva fall on my face, and fuck, that stings. The alien's eyes shift to the spots on my face. He knew that would happen. I fight the urge to scrub my face. I lived with Jackson long enough to know better than to show any reaction to the things he would do. Well, I can't speak for anyone. I can't fully speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure our superior would agree, and, you should listen to them. They can make your life hell. I will make your life hell, he growls. I see the femme up behind the desk speak into an intercom before moving across the room. Is that a threat? The male I bumped asks, stepping up and pushing Edon out of my face. Shove off. Gomez is being soft with you. Edon, I gave you an order. Follow the damn order. Wait or leave. Gomez, Torak, back off. I startle for a second, wondering who this male is and how he knows my name. Did he hear the officer say it? Again, I move to disengage from the enraged alien, but find the wall is much closer than I thought. What, need big rogues to protect you, little human? Edon cackles. I step around the male, not allowing him to use his larger frame to protect me. On the contrary, good sir, I preen. This male is making sure I don't kick your ass, but I'll save that for training. Attention. We all snapped to. 2 soldiers flanked the femme who spoke. Edon, go sit your ass in holding room 2 since you can't seem to wait nicely. Gomez and Torek, please step into holding room 4. An officer will be there to meet you shortly. The woman at the desk stands tall, her white hair standing on end with anger. Edon opens his mouth to hiss something out again, but she snaps, her hair pulling together into spikes, not unlike a porcupine. You would do well to learn to listen to your superiors. You'll spend a lot of time running chores if you don't. Edon glares at Torek and me and stalks away, his talons clicking on the floor. So again, that was a portion of chapter 11 when Ada goes to the space station and is getting ready to start her training and do a whole bunch of stuff with the intergalactic space station and the galactic garrison, which is the military organization within this world that I created. So this is my first science fiction novel, and I do have 2 other books that are in fantasy, so this one was really fun for me to work on because it was something very different from my other series. It's a little bit grittier, a little bit older in some of the maturity of how things go and how they react. As you saw, there's a little bit more swearing than in my other books. And so it was a lot of fun to write and have those differences. It was very refreshing to also write it. So now that we have gotten through that first section, I'm going to go through, I had a couple polls that I did on Instagram earlier this week. So I'm going to go through the questions that were there. And then if anybody has any questions now, you can drop them in the chat. So let me just pull those up. Let me find them first and then pull them up. I probably should have had that before. Where was it? That's not what I wanted. Oops. Okay. Gotta find it. I've done so many posts in the last few days that I can't find things now. Was it on the other account? So one question was, what am I most excited for readers to experience, with an asterisk that says no spoilers? So honestly, there's a lot of things that I'm excited for just because it is very different than the Ritual Saga. The fights are very different. It's with my other series, the Ritual Saga, everything is very swords and arrows and that sort of thing. But this one is very physical in the combat, in the relationships, and I feel like it's a little bit more emotionally charged than the other one. I think it's definitely a step up compared to my other books in that capacity. But as far as like scenes, I'm definitely excited to see people's reactions from like chapter 30 on, maybe chapter 40, where the final act of the book starts and things start to hit the fan, shall we say. And I'm excited to see how people react to those changes that occur. Let's see on my other account if there is. I thought there was more questions I had somewhere. The other one is my favorite character types, the physical traits, or my favorite character types or physical traits. So with this book, it was really fun because I was creating very many different alien species that the character would interact with in the book. So, oh, bless you. So I think I had about 6 or 7 that were mentioned, and there's 4 different species that Ada interacts with on a regular basis. And I want to say that the favorite one for me to write was the character that becomes Ada's best friend on the base, Dita. And she is from the moon Ganymede, which is attached to Saturn, Jupiter. I always mix them up. I'm going to double check because Titan is from Saturn, and that was actually an error that I made very early on in the process, where for an entire Ganymede draft, it's a moon. Okay, Ganymede is a moon. For an entire draft, I said that Titan was a moon of Jupiter. It's not. So that was something I had to go back and fix. But she is a sort of aquatic water creature, but also not. And she is blue and has tentacles for hair. And she's very expressive with her hair. And it's almost like those are an extension of her personality. So it was fun to show that physicality when she would interact with things and react to things within the writing and how she was reacting to those things. Another question that came up was, how realistic are things? And it is fiction, it's science fiction, so clearly I have aliens and I have my own technology that I created for how they move from place to place and that sort of thing. But I did try to have some of it be realistic with the locations, like this location goes to this, and this sort of atmosphere would create this environment that they need to work with. And they go to several different places throughout the galaxy over the course of the book. And obviously, we've never been to any of those places. So it's not like we have direct knowledge of, this planet or this moon is going to react in this way when you do XYZ. So I kind of had to interpret it a little bit. But I did go, okay, there is very little gravity in this location. What are they going to do to deal with that? Etc., etc. So there are those real life aspects to it. But I definitely took some creative liberty in some cases with certain things. So that was one thing where it's like, it is somewhat realistic, but if you want to go into if this is hard science fiction or soft science fiction, which the difference is, one is very, very technical and goes into the science, and one does not as much. This definitely leans into more of a soft science fiction where things are mentioned and explained, but not super, super in depth. I am not a huge science person. I think things are interesting, but I'm not good at it. And I am 100% sure that there is some physicist or someone out there that is going to say that my stuff is wrong. And I kind of accepted that from the get-go with science fiction. Is today International Women's Day? I thought that was earlier. I'm seeing it's on Monday, but that would be cool. We're close, so International Women's Weekend? Maybe not the day, but the weekend. So, how are you? So, yeah. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the chat and I can try to answer them. This one is definitely still falls under, I would say falls under YA, but unlike the Rituals, which is my other series, I don't think, unless you have a very mature little one, or if you reading are a very mature reader, I think this one falls into upper YA. I know that the Rituals, I've had younger individuals reading it, which is definitely fine. This one, I would say, goes a little bit higher, just with the amount of swearing. I know some people don't like it, but as it is a book that is based in a military society, it's just more realistic to have swearing in it. So, but it definitely was funny when I was editing it and Microsoft Word was telling me I should have less swears because it might be inappropriate for some people. And I was like, hey, they're staying. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Do I have any other questions that came up? The entire process took me from about November of 2019 to I finished in technically finished in mid-February of this year. That was when I submitted the final files, but the actual concept of it came to me in, I'm not exactly sure when, but it was winter of 2017 because I was still in college. But I didn't start writing it until NaNoWriMo in 2019. But up until that point, I had kind of been writing down notes here and there and thinking up little bits. Actually had about 4 pages of notes that I'd written down when I was working a job in a theater, and those notes went missing. I have no idea where those notes are, but they had a ton of details, including one of my main 4 characters' names, which I never got back. I don't remember what her original name was supposed to be, but what it is now is what it became when I tried to figure out what to call her since I lost that original note. And that's when most things became digital for me so that I wouldn't lose it again. But yeah. So about, I don't even know how many months that is. That's 18 months? 1 year, 2 months. Yeah, about 1 year and 2 months. So 14 months, which I feel like is pretty good, but there was some of that planning that was done ahead of time. So, and the reason that it took a little bit longer was I was working on my other series. I had the first book coming out in 2018, and then I wrote or did the edits of the second book in 2019, released it then, and then decided I wanted to take a break from the rituals for a little bit. I did this one. So, and then now I'm going to go back and do the third book in the rituals, and then I'll go back and do the second book in this series. So I'll start flip-flopping back and forth. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat and I will get to them. I'm seeing if there's any questions in any other spots so that I don't miss any. You can add, I will drop this link, you can add the book to your Goodreads list. So that is where you can add it and save it, and you can see a couple different stores that it is available on. And that is a great place, if you do read the book, to review it. A lot of people still go to Goodreads to see reviews. So if you read the book, I would appreciate if you did a rating or a review, because it really helps, especially with algorithms, for books to get seen. And since I am a smaller author, it is a very easy marketing thing that helps. Even if you get the book from the library and you don't spend money, that's a really helpful way to help authors. Okay. So I see we've got a couple of people in the chat. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. It's really weird launching an ebook and not launching a physical book at the same time. I do have a video all about that. Due to the year 2020 and some of the production delays caused by workers not being available, there were delays in the hardback and my ability to release it, because I wanted to release the best product and I wanted to make sure that I could vet it and get all of the proofs that I would need before sending it out to people. So I decided to delay the hardback. So that is still available for pre-order and will be releasing on April 30th. So that's got a little bit over a month until that one will be released, and I'll be doing another live stream at that point when that one goes out, and probably reading a different section of the book. So if you haven't read it then you can come hang out and hear another bit. This morning I did also release I've been recording the audio so that I can release the audiobook at some point. So I released chapter 1 of that as a preview, so you can take a listen to it and see if it would be something that is up your alley, get a little idea of what the world is like, and get into it. So, if there's no other questions, I think that's where we'll call it for today. Thank you so much for everybody that has come and hung out. If you are on the replay crew, I will add some timestamps so you know when we get started with the reading and when the Q&A gets going. And feel free to continue to drop comments in the questions in the comments, and I will hang out in the comments and answer them for a little bit. But thank you for coming and hanging out with me. And if you have ordered until all the stars are found, I appreciate it. Every sale helps a small business, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.